Brothers.
Sisters and brothers.
Working in public service isn't just a job.
It's a calling. Our teachers and educators.
Our sanitation workers and social workers.
Our first responders, nurses, and home care providers.
They care deeply. They're committed to keeping our communities safe and strong.
Every day they lift up their neighbors
by staring down big challenges.
Every day, show pride and passion, courage and character.
And every day they fight for all working people
to get a fair shake,
a voice on the job,
a seat at the table.
The corporate CEOs and the wealthy special interests are coming after us,
just like they always do.
Just like they always have.
Because we're a threat to their power.
Because they benefit from inequality and injustice.
Because they stand to lose from a level playing field.
Because we're a check on their corporate greed.
They're attacking us like never before.
But we're no strangers to adversity.
We know how to take a punch.
And we don't expect anything to come easy.
Everywhere you look, working people are drawing on deep reserves of strength.
Teachers and public school workers all across America demanding more for their students.
Students walking out of class and marching for their lives.
Fast food workers standing up and saying they deserve $15 an hour and a union.
Thousands rallying in Memphis for racial and economic justice, carrying on the legacy of Dr. King and the sanitation strikers.
All of them moved to collective action.
Even in the face of unprecedented challenges, we will not shrink or surrender.
We will fight back together.
We will defend our rights and freedoms together.
We will build power in numbers together.
We will have each other's back.
That's what solidarity is all about.
An injury to one
is an injury to all.
An attack on one of us
is an attack on all of us.
We are fearless.
We are fierce.
We never quit.
We are unflinching.
Undeterred.
Unrelenting.
Unstoppable.
We are AFSCME.
SEIU.
NEA.
AFT.
We just had a debate in the last session about labor solidarity and what our intentions are, and I think you can see from what we have here that our intentions are to be part of a big, robust labor movement of public employees, of private employees, people who want to change America for the better. And that is why I am honored that the people that I spend a lot of time with, Lee Saunders, Lily Eskelsen-Garcia, Mary Kay Henry, the leaders of AFSCME, NEA, and SEIU are in the House with all of you. Now, we're all standing already, but I just want to say one thing. I want every local president or state-affiliated president to stand up for 1 minute. Just stand for a second. Because you know, look, every activist is important in our union, but there is a special responsibility that goes with being the president of a local or state federation, and frankly, anybody who's ever been one, stand up as well with everybody standing. So you can imagine that Lee, Mary Kay, Lily, and myself, we end up and have ended up becoming incredible friends with each other. Sisters and brothers, but incredible friends. Because we spend a bunch of time together. And what has happened is, like those who are standing up right now, we end up thinking so much about what haven't we done? What do we need to still do? What stone have we left unturned? And the first time we actually got together, the four of us, we kept thinking, there are so many things that bind us together. Let's find ways to work through the things that are dissident, and let's work together. And that's what we've done on Janus, and that's what we've done in elections, and that's what we've done on so many different things. And because of our kind of robust debate that we just had on a couple of amendments, I want to just go and introduce these three people, starting with Lee, then Lily, then Mary Kay, because I know Lee has a plane that he has to get back for. Lee's convention is in the next couple of days. We are in this, and I will be speaking at his as he is here. So it's pretty awesome that he found a moment to go from Boston to here, and he has to get back to Boston. Lee is not only our brother, but a real personal brother. We know each other. You guys can sit, I'm sorry. We know each other from the days he ran DC 37 when it had some issues and he was put in as a trustee. It was about a month after I started as the president of the UFT. And Lee and I worked in New York when Rudy Giuliani, I can't believe he's on TV again. You all get to see what we had to live with, was the mayor. But more than that, this past year, AFSCME marked the 50th anniversary of the Memphis sanitation workers' strike that brought Martin Luther King to that city. And the night before he was assassinated, Dr. King gave his powerful "I've Been to the Mountaintop" sermon, in which he knit together the struggle for working rights and civil rights. And Lee has recognized for many years and helped us recognize how we had to change culture and worked with us from the first moment of changing that culture. And I am really glad that he is here. And then I love that Lily said at one point or another to the NEA convention that I was the second most notable, noticed member of the NEA. But the NEA and the AFT have become more and more family since Lily has become its president. Yes, she is a fierce warrior for public education, for those we serve and those we represent. But we've been in many battles together as well, from the testing fixation to fighting the deformers to having to deal with the dear Secretary of Education now, whose name I'm sure she will say. And I love this woman because she is walking the walk with us as teachers and paras and higher education all across America. She is a sister. And the other sister here, I'm just doing these introductions really quickly. The other sister here is Mary Kay Henry, who is forceful and kind, practical and visionary. Our sister Mary Kay has envisioned, and the members of SEIU have envisioned, how you bring the whole labor movement and the fight for contingent workers into the 21st century, the Fight for 15 campaign, the fight for immigrants, the fight for those who struggle and who strive. When you see any fight for the vulnerable, you see Mary Kay and SEIU in the front of that line. That is why I am honored to have our sisters and our brother here in our house to show that our fight is their fight is our fight, and we are all collectively sticking with the union.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It is still morning. I got up at 5 o'clock this morning in Boston, Massachusetts, just so I could be here with the mighty AFT. So I've got one question for you. Is AFT in the house? I didn't hear you. Is AFT in this house? You know, Randy told some stories about me being in New York with her, fighting Mayor Giuliani. But we not only were co-workers and believers in our union, but we became steadfast friends. And when I left New York, I remember having a conversation with her saying that I was going back to Washington, D.C. And it was a tough conversation, let me tell you. But I told her this, that our paths would cross again. And now, the president of the AFT, and the president of AFSCME, and the president of SEIU, and the president of NEA, all of us coming together, making our voices heard together, fighting the good fight together, coming together, as we all must. I can't thank Randy enough for her leadership, and for her friendship, and for her partnership. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And I also want to give a shout out to your other officers, Loretta Johnson and Mary Catherine Ricker. I have known Loretta for longer than I probably want to admit. But she has been a fighter in Baltimore and a fighter all across this country. Give your officers a round of applause for the work that they do every single day. And I bring greetings. I bring greetings today from the proud men and women of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. That is AFSCME, many of whom you work side by side with, in communities all across this country. Now, this weekend, as I said, thousands of them are arriving for AFSCME's 43rd International Convention in the great city of Boston, Massachusetts. We've been there since Tuesday. Boston's in the house. We had our board meeting there Wednesday and Thursday and other committee meetings. But when that board meeting was done, told everybody that I was going to have to take a quick pit stop and leave Boston, leave our convention to come to Pittsburgh, because it is so important that you see all four of us standing together as one. Nothing can separate that power. Nothing can separate that strength. So I had to come. I had to come to Pittsburgh to talk with you and to be with my sisters. They also have put me in their own club, okay? All three of them did this. I'm an official sister. That's all right. I mean, that's great. That's great. Let me tell you something. When I'm in a war, when I am in a battle, I would want next to me Mary Kay Henry, Lily Eskelsen Garcia, and Randy Weingarten. Make no mistake about that. That's what it's all about. So here we are. Got to go demonstrate the unity between our four great unions. Our four unions enjoy indestructible bonds of solidarity. We have built a brick wall that our enemies can't knock down no matter how hard they try. There is no daylight. There is no daylight between us, not even an inch. And that's never been more important than it is right now. Because the ruthless attacks against us have reached a fever pitch. You all know that. 17 days ago, 5 men in black robes on the United States Supreme Court voted to steal our freedom to make a decent living and support our families, our freedom to empower our neighbors by providing first-class public services, our freedom to build power in numbers, to negotiate a fair return on our work, to stand together in a strong union. And if Brett Kavanaugh is confirmed, the court is likely to become even more hostile to working people. Let's not kid ourselves, sisters and brothers, about who's pulling the strings here. We know who it is. It's the same corporate cabal that's been coming after us for years. It's the privileged and powerful class who cares about one thing and one thing only, rigging the economy so they can take more for themselves and leave less for all of us. More for billionaires and less for teachers and sanitation workers. More for CEOs and less for school bus drivers and social workers. It's as simple and as plain as that. But let's make one thing perfectly clear, sisters and brothers. If anyone thinks one court case is going to decide the fate of the American labor movement, they're in for a big-ass surprise. In for a big-ass surprise. In the face of this challenge, we are not cowering in retreat. We are preparing for battle, aren't we? We are emboldened and we are inspired. Showing our resilience and our loyalty. Throughout the last few weeks, AFSCME affiliates nationwide have been getting calls from members saying, I value my union. I love my union. And guess what? I am sticking with my union. Coast to coast, working people are organizing and mobilizing in creative ways with unprecedented vitality. In my union, over the past 2 years, we have actually organized 18,000 new members within AFSCME. Fast food workers, Mary Kay knows this, are demanding $15 an hour and a union. Educators across this country are finally taking it to the streets and making their voices heard, demanding justice and winning. Labor unions enjoy our strongest popular support in 15 years. Janice isn't going to tamp down this energy. It's not going to tamp down that momentum. It's going to ignite us. It's going to ignite us further. Now, I'm not saying it'll be easy, because it's not. But it never is. We faced long odds before, and sisters and brothers, we will do it again. We have risen to the moment in the face of hardship before, and we will do it again. We have stared down injustice and prevailed before, and sisters and brothers, we will do it again. The attacks on us will become more ferocious, but we will remain fearless, because that's what we do and that's who we are. We don't buckle in the face of strong headwinds. We square our shoulders to the most difficult task. We didn't get where we are by being timid, by running from a fight. We didn't build the labor movement with faint-heartedness. We did it with guts, and we did it with grit, and we did it with thick skin and steel spines, with fire in our bellies and passion in our hearts. They can change the law, but they can't change us. They can't change our burning desire to come together in collective action to improve our lives and our communities. They can't bend our will or weaken our resolve. They can't break the bonds of sisterhood and brotherhood. They can try to knock us down, but we'll keep rising up. We're going to keep rising up. That is the theme of my union's convention in Boston, Massachusetts. Rising up. Randy will be there with us this week or next week, rising up with AFSCME. Mary Kay Henry will be with us next week, rising up with AFSCME. NEA will be with us next week, rising up with AFSCME. Everyone rising up. And I know you can't be there, but you've got to rise up too, sisters and brothers. It is time. This is the place. This is the moment to rise up for human dignity. Rise up for social justice. Rise up to defend our freedoms and our values. Sisters and brothers, it is time. It is time. Don't sit down. Don't lay down. Just rise up. And when we rise up, we will win. God bless you.
Wow. And in conclusion, you know, it's hard to top that, but I will tell you how proud that I am to be here, and especially that Randy and I have something very important in common. Of all the national unions in this country, our two unions are led by 3 executive officers who are all women. And I want to thank my sister Randy for this invitation. I want to thank her for her friendship, her leadership. On behalf of Princess and Becky and myself, I want to thank Loretta and Mary Catherine and Randy for standing with us in that sisterhood. And look at the honor that we have to be here with our friends, the amazing titans of labor, Mary Kay Henry and our sister Lee Saunders. He was so proud when we actually, the 3 of us voted him an honorary sister. He was very proud of that. But the partnership that we have as educators and as public servants and as unionists and as activists, it's more important than ever before. The forces that we are up against would like nothing more than to have us divided, isolated, fighting amongst ourselves. They do not know who we are. We are more than allies. We are family. We fight for our children. We fight for our families. We fight for public education and public services and social justice. There is no light between us. The Koch brothers, Betsy DeVos, Donald Trump are going to be sadly disappointed. Porque qué honor estar aquí con ustedes, mis hermanos y hermanas, los compañeros en la lucha de mi corazón. It is an honor to be with my brothers and sisters who share in the work of our hearts, who are fearless in the fight for what we love. We have put the muscle of the 4 biggest unions in this country together because we need that muscle. Just when we thought Janice was going to be the big news of the day, how did they end that day? Facing the 2nd nomination of a Supreme Court justice selected by Donald Trump using a cheat sheet from the Heritage Foundation. Now, if you know anything about the Heritage Foundation, they hate unions. They hate anything with the word public in front of it. The Heritage Foundation loves Judge Brett Kavanaugh, because he has passed every single one of their high-stakes tests. Judge Kavanaugh is a young man, 53 years young. The average age of a Supreme Court justice today is 147. You know that. If confirmed, this man is going to be there a long time. And someone's going to ask you what's wrong with him? You need some specifics. He was the lawyer who represented Jeb Bush and Florida's voucher plan that privatized funding that should have gone to state public schools and used that money for private and religious schools. That law was struck down as unconstitutional. As a justice, he's going to be sitting on the court that decides future school privatization cases. As a judge, he argued that a president does indeed have the power, the executive power, to refuse to enforce a law he doesn't like. And even as we speak right now, heading to a district court in Texas and inevitably to the Supreme Court is a lawsuit by 20 Republican governors who want to kill the Affordable Care Act by killing the most popular part of it, the requirement that health insurers cover people with pre-existing conditions. Trump has joined that lawsuit on the side of those governors, on the side of the insurance companies, and not on the side of the law that he is supposed to enforce. Now, beyond issues like those, and immigration, and women's health, and LGBT equality, and employment rights, what most folks say sets this judge apart is that he has argued that presidents should not be distracted by civil lawsuits, by criminal investigations, even by questions from a prosecutor or a defense attorney. With the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh, Trump feels safe, untouchable. Those who hate us are throwing everything they've got at us, like this justice. Now, on any given planet of normal people, there would be fear that the forces of darkness and evil were at the door. Normal people would be wetting their pants right now at the direct attack on our ability to organize, grow our unions, advocate for our members, our families, our communities. But I'm looking at you, and I don't see fear. And I know why. It's because you are profoundly and proudly not normal. You are not normal. This is Saturday. Normal people are home mowing the lawn. They're going to the movies. Look what you're doing. This is not normal. I just left my own NEA representative assembly. Some of you might have been there if you're from our mighty merged states. Yay. There was no fear in that room either. I am a 6th grade teacher from Utah. I've had 39 kids on rainy day recess. Koch brothers cannot scare me. They cannot scare you. We are a union. We don't scare, we get ready. And this powerful partnership that we're celebrating means we're getting ready. We are combining our forces to resist that shameful nomination. We will combine our forces to organize the unorganized post-Janus. We'll communicate to our members that the public, the working public, is under attack. Working people that don't even have a union, that aren't lucky enough to have a union, are under attack. We are under attack by people who are defined by what they hate. They hate job security. They hate the minimum wage. They hate Social Security and health care you have a right to. They hate public schools and public transportation and public parks. There is no public common good to them. Everything is for sale to the highest bidder. And they hate us because we stand in a powerful place. We stand between a profiteer and his profits. I have felt their hate. and it is nothing new. I ran for Congress in the state of Utah in 1892, and I will tell you, if you stand up and you speak out for communities and social justice and the rights of women and immigrants and LGBT folks, you know, that's hard to talk about. In Utah, we don't talk about gay marriage. We don't let Democrats marry. Because who would accept the children, really? If you run a campaign about what you love, you become a target of hate. I was in the grocery store going home from one of those campaign things, 10 o'clock at night, minding my own business, just picking up milk on the way home. And there's a woman pushing her cart towards me, giving me that look. And, you know, she gets a little closer and she looks at me and she said, I know who you are. I hate everything you stand for. And I hate you. And I said, and yet, I know that if we had time to really get to know each other, that the feeling would be mutual. Okay. You cannot love everybody. You know, move on, start seeing other people. We are moving on, and we know how to win. I heard a quote that says it all. You don't win by destroying what you hate. You win by saving what you love. And I used that speech a few weeks ago. I used that quote in a speech a few weeks ago, and this woman came up to me after, and she had a tear in her eye. She said, Lily, thank you so much for quoting the Bible. It was the last Star Wars movie. You know, but St. Luke Skywalker, it's all good. You know, we know what we're fighting for. We know what we love. And one of the things I love is my union. My union gave this little 6th grade teacher from Utah a voice. It gave me the power to save what I love. And I've heard Randy say it more than once, and you heard Lee say it a minute ago. In these dark times, you do not count us out. Our members know what is at stake. And we're sticking with the union. And it occurred to me that there is a song on that theme. And lucky for you, I have absolutely no sense of shame. I'm going to sing it for you. And you know, it kind of goes around. Don't bother with him, he's with the band. It goes with the theme that we were just talking about strong women in a strong union. So that's who I dedicate this to, including my strong union brother, honorary woman. Thank you. There once was a union maid who never was afraid of the goons and the ginks and the company finks and the deputy sheriffs who were the brave. They went to the union hall when a meeting it was called. And when the company boys came around, they always stood their ground and said, you can't scare me. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. No, you can't scare me. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die. Oh, that union maid was wise to the tricks of company spies. She never got fooled by company skills. She always organized the guys. Always got her way when she struck for higher pay. She'd show her card to the company guard. This is what she'd say. She'd say, you can't scare me. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. No, you can't scare me. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the take a little tip from me. Break out of that mold, revolving soul. Make your own history. The fight for women's rights means workers must unite. Like Mother Jones, you gotta move those bones to the front of every fight and sing You Can't Stand. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. No, you can't scare me. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die.
Sisters and brothers, the members of the Service Employees International Union are proud to be standing with the leadership of the American Federation of Teachers, AFSCME-NEA. We are glad to be with you. Say it with me, brothers and sisters. We care. We fight. We show up. We vote. And I'm so grateful for Randi Weingarten's incredibly visionary leadership and how she pointed the light to all of you yesterday in saying that there is going to be hope in the darkness and we're going to make it happen together. Is that right, brothers and sisters? I'm proud to be standing on this stage with leaders from our union here in Pittsburgh who represent security officers and janitors. We have one leader, Sherry Geyer, who just came off the night shift and is with us here. We're very grateful. We have leaders from the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services where they help hard-hit families living on the edge get access to a doctor, school meals for kids, and heating their homes for the winter. We know that you honor and are part of the public services all across this country, and we honor the work of public service workers all across this country, and we've made the decision that we're going to stick together no matter what in this time. Is that right, brothers and sisters? And I'm proud to be standing with leaders from our healthcare local representing hospital workers and registered nurses and nursing home workers. One of our leaders traveled down with Randi and the incredible delegation that AFT sent to the border because she was moved and wanted to see for herself the outrageous action of the administration to separate families, and we were proud to stand with you against that action and calling for people to be returned together with their families. Thank you so much, Randi, for your incredible leadership on that fight. We think it's incredibly fitting that the AFT in this moment would gather in this city, Pittsburgh. For decades, this city was known as a place where working people joined together to create a strong union. The union gave people in the last century the power to join together and take dangerous jobs and make them good, family-sustaining jobs. At the same time that the steel workers were doing that, teachers were fighting to raise standards for your profession. You fought for better schools for all family. Together, ordinary Americans use their power in joining together to fight for gains and make real progress for the entire country. But we know, and I think you've heard throughout this convention, today the problem for most working families is no matter what our color or where we are from, that progress has been blocked. It's blocked because corporations and the politicians they pay for decided to make it harder for working people to join together in unions. They attacked public education. They made it harder for teachers to help more kids live up to their potential. They attacked unions and made it harder for working people to join together so that we had the power and influence to balance corporate power in our economy and democracy. They attacked working people and good jobs. They drove down wages. They took away pensions, and they took away good health care coverage. Today, 42% of American working people are earning less than $15 an hour. Many of them have jobs in the fast-growing service, care, and education sectors that we all labor in. Work that has been done since the beginning of this nation, primarily by women and workers of color. We know that the attack on public education, on family-sustaining work, and on the right to join together in unions reached a new level 17 days ago at the Supreme Court. The billionaire CEOs and lobbyists who funded these attacks are the same billionaires who point the finger of blame at Black Americans, at new American immigrants, and at the working poor. Enough is enough. We can do better, and Red for Ed taught us that. We know we can do better because of the bravery of every teacher from West Virginia to Arizona that I know you have celebrated at this convention, who went to fight for their profession and for the students that they serve, winning remarkable support of their neighbors and communities. The teachers in this room and across the country retaught the entire nation the lesson that when we join together and use our collective power, there's nothing that we can't accomplish. And we can make progress city by city, community by community, state by state, because we've seen the courage and fearlessness of teachers alongside of fast food workers who are fighting for 15 and a union. You and I know that when they made the demand in 2012 for $15, people said, "What? That is just ridiculous." And now they've turned that outlandish demand into a reality for 20 million working people in this country that are on a path to 15. From day one, people who went on strike at McDonald's say they were fighting for two things. They went on strike for 15 so they could afford new school shoes for their kids, or so they could escape the grinding fear of eviction or getting their lights shut off. And they went on strike to form a union to give them the basic dignity and respect that every human being in our world deserves and to make their lives better. Sisters and brothers, I'm here to report we're winning 15, but just like Lily and Lee have said alongside of Randy, we're not stopping there. We are going to make the union a reality for millions more working Americans. We are not going to stop until 4 million fast food workers are sitting at a national collective bargaining table, raising wages and creating good jobs in every community and state in this country. McDonald's set that table in Australia, South Africa, and in 8 countries in Europe. There is no reason McDonald's can't do the same thing in the United States of America. And it's possible to do because we stand on the shoulders of people in previous generations who had the guts to believe the impossible could be possible. We stand on the shoulders of people who are willing to stand up and come together and stand with the people making their way across the border, or stand with the people of Ferguson when Michael Brown is shot down, because it's possible for us to push aside fear and despair and use our solidarity with each other to make this country a 21st century union movement inside a wider movement that's fighting for citizenship for immigrants, that's fighting for justice and equality for Black America once and for all, that's fighting for an end to gun violence so we can walk safely in our street. We can rewrite the rules of how we live and work in the richest country on earth. It's time to elect leaders who are going to stand with us to make the rewriting of rules possible. You have had many elected officials at this convention who are prepared to say the word union and not just stop there by showing up on our picket line, but to help us rewrite the rules so that every worker, no matter what job they do or where they work, can join a union. Yeah? Now, we know that corporations think that all they have to do is use more court decisions to eliminate unions and drive down wages for underpaid millions of service, care, and education workers. But we've said no. The members of our 4 unions have joined forces, SEIU, AFSCME, and NEA, and the entire labor movement. Together, we are going to gather our strength and push the doors of our movement open and welcome millions more workers in. Together, we can build a powerful movement to transform 64 million underpaid service, care, and education jobs into work that can support families. We can join together across all of our differences to create a country where we ensure that every Black life matters, that every immigrant is on a path to citizenship, where all of us can drink clean water and breathe clean air, and that we can make the world that we want finally. But we know we cannot walk alone, and we cannot turn back. The members of SEIU are proud to march alongside of AFT, NEA, AFSCME, and the entire labor movement. We are in this together, brothers and sisters. Say it with me. In it together. In it together. In it together. In it together. Thank you so much to Randy Weingarten, Loretta, and Mary Catherine. Thank you very much.
And then all go out together. I know there's one of the lunches, but what we wanted to do is this. We just talked about all of the work we're doing with our other unions, and we wanted to end this morning, I know it's afternoon, but we wanted to end this morning talking about what we're doing ourselves in terms of the recommitments. And there are 2 people, there are actually 4 people, 5 people I am bringing up, and then we're doing a lot of people in the room. It will take about half an hour, so if you need to leave, you'll leave to go to whatever lunches there are. But when we actually moved and compressed our convention from 5 days to 4 days to actually save people some money, we knew that if some, like last time, we knew that the constitutional amendments would go probably half an hour. This time they went an hour and a half. So each time you have to adjust a little, and so we'll adjust a little in terms of resolutions later today. But it's that the work that all of you have done in terms of recommits can't go without notice. So I'm asking a couple of our activists, I'm asking all the activists to come up at the same time. And why don't we have them in front of the podium? Brenda and Sia, you want to come up first?
Thank you, Randy. My name is Brenda Marks, and I have the privilege of being a paraeducator in the great city of Pittsburgh. At Arsenal 6 through 8, and I am a proud union member. I was part of the Recommit campaign in our school, and with just short, simple conversations about the importance of assuring that our union stays strong, we were able to get 100% commitment in our school. And we were able to double our political action contribution. Now, I have to admit, it was surprisingly easy because as union members, they all knew the importance of sticking together and supporting each other. They did not want to let their colleagues, their fellow union members, and their brothers and sisters down. All it takes are simple conversations. You know, as we know that individually, we don't stand a chance. But sticking together, we can overcome anything that Betsy DeVos, the Koch brothers, and even that venom coming out of the White House has to throw at us. So let's have those simple conversations. Let's be advocates in our schools, in our workplace, in our communities, not only for ourselves, but for all working people and all of the people we serve. So I'm standing before all of you today, committing not only to be a union member, but to be a union activist, to knock on doors, to have those conversations, to make those phone calls. Thank you.
Hello. My name, go Baltimore! My name is Tia Kiriakakos, and I am an AFT activist. I would like to thank the American Federation of Teachers and my local union, under the fierce leadership, of course, of Marietta English, for giving me the opportunity and the honor to address you today. I just returned from the National Teacher Leadership Conference in Las Vegas. I was selected to give a TED-style talk about the importance of social-emotional learning, which I personally think is an issue of equity. I was there because as a Maryland Teacher of the Year for 2017, thank you, I was given a platform to advocate for my students and fight for every teacher in my state. And it was the AFT Teacher Leaders Program that prepared me for that role and that speech. When I started to work in Baltimore City a good 7 years ago, I felt that I needed to start a revolution, and I know that my people right here feel it every day. My first job was in West Baltimore, and when I went into my classroom 1 week before, I walked in and there were no chairs or tables. And I ran downstairs and to see where I could locate these things, and I asked my principal, and he told me to go make friends and go on free cycle. Yep. Equity was not part of my vocabulary, but the daily inequities that I witnessed in my children's lives, in and out of the school, completely shocked me. I did not know how to react. I felt like I needed to scream, but there was no sound coming out. However, I did find my voice in the Teacher Leaders Program. There, with like-minded, passionate colleagues, under the guidance of Carla McCoy, that's right, we debated the struggles our kids faced in and out of the school. We researched the reasons and looked for actionable solutions. We built networks with stakeholders and local representatives. This is member engagement and activism in its finest. Our voices became refined, clear, and strong. And because of the AFT Leaders Program, I realized that I belonged to an amazing family, the BTU, who cared if my students had tables and chairs, if they did have art, they did have preschool, they did have books. They actually did care. I realized that I had an army of political advocates behind me. Because if you think teaching is not a political act, you got it wrong. It's a political act on its own. Every day when you go to school, you're exercising your right to democracy. I learned to demand what was right for my students and to fight, to advocate, and to advocate for every teacher. I stand strong and unwavering before you because I have BTU and AFT behind me. Let's stand together with fire in our bodies and passion in our hearts, like Lee Sanders said. I love that. And in the words of Congressman Mike Doyle, let's take our country back. We need to rise up, and we can do it only if we're in it together. Let's share in the work of our hearts. Thank you.
So, people have, the next section is really important. It is our life. And I've seen, because we have a human rights lunch that is starting right now, what I would like to do is call an audible here and adjourn until 2 o'clock, where we start with exactly what we're about to do right now. So we're going to start promptly at 2 o'clock, and as we leave the hall, as people leave, I just want to make sure you know that we are announcing the launch of an online professional development site exclusively for AFT members. It's called the AFT e-learning platform, and course members are going to be for course offerings are going to be for members in all divisions. Courses on executive board training, collective bargaining, opioid crisis, and all sorts of other things. And it's a benefit, and you'll hear more of this, like the student loan clinics, student debt clinics are a benefit for members. This is a benefit for AFT members. And visit the Activist Center for more information. And we are adjourned to 2 o'clock promptly, where we will start with member engagement. And remember, get your walking shoes on during lunch. It's 90 some odd degrees, so take your jackets off when we go and we actually march outside with our brothers and sisters and community in Pittsburgh starting about 3:30. Thanks very much. Also, as you leave, Elizabeth Warren will be with us this afternoon.